So here's another DIY from the retired guy. Today's project is we've got a sticking garage door. It's about 31 degrees, and I serviced one garage door. We moved in here eight months ago. It was sticking. These are 25-year-old garage doors, and really haven't been serviced. Every house I've ever lived in, I've had to work on garage doors. But I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of cleaning the old grease off the middle track. And I like to use, instead of grease, which gets tacky in this cold weather like it is now, around 30 degrees, I like to use silicone spray. So today's project, I'm just going to clean it and lube it, and I'll show you what I've used that's been successful for me in the past. The problem with this cold weather is it gets a little sticky, so when the garage door goes down, it feels a little resistance and then goes back up by itself like it did just there. And if you give it a little assistance coming down, it will close. So I'm pushing down on just a little pressure down. And that little pressure down is enough to keep the sensor that senses too much force resistance on the door from reversing and going back up. So basically what I do is lube this top rail along the sides and the bottom. It's full of, you can see, old tacky grease that I'll clean off, and then no more grease. I'll just put silicone spray in there, and then along these rails up here where this piece rides on top, I'll clean that up too. So on these garage doors, you got two sources of friction when it's riding up and down. You get the rollers on the side, and then you get the track on top. So the rollers on the side, unless you've got, a blown out bearing, totally locked up, these are wheels. So all mine are spinning freely. None are locked up. If one of these does lock up, I've changed these too. And they have little ball bearings in them. And they can cause enough friction. Well, if the ball bearing goes out, they make a mess. I had a neighbor that I fixed her door, and hers just jammed. The wheel came sideways and locked the garage door in the track, and then pulled the frame, bent the whole frame away from the wall. Really made a mess. And I was to straighten everything out, put it back, and then they sell these at Lowe's. These rollers, I think it's a 2-pack for, I don't know. They're not expensive, but it comes with the whole assembly, the post and the roller. But mine are pretty free. So this is my track where the rollers ride. It's pretty smooth in here. I mean, there's old grease in here, but I don't think there's any friction that's causing the door to reverse direction. But I'm going to do this other center track first, just to see if this is where the most of the friction. I mean, there's a lot of weight down on this piece. On this piece here, it's adjustable. Mine seems like it's, adjusted right, but this carries a lot of weight on it. This is not a real high quality garage door by any means, but this rides on this rail here, and also underneath. it touches underneath as well. So, you know, there's a lot of built up grease underneath there. That gets tacky and, you know, can cause a lot of drag. But it does contact this. It's obvious it rides on the bottom and the top. When I moved into the house last year, my other garage door was stopping it, going up and down. And I serviced the whole thing. Basically, I did what I'm gonna do here, but I also, inside the drive, there's a ball gear inside here. So that worm gear is driven nylon worm gear in that box, and that also has to be greased. But when I serviced the other side of my garage, I took both boxes apart, and the far side was old, dark, dried up grease. This side looked like it had just been serviced. There was red, fresh grease in there, and everything was good. So I just put it back together, and I know it's good. And I should have cleaned this up because it looked like they must have had it serviced before they sold the house. Probably wasn't working right. And whoever serviced it didn't do anything underneath here. Didn't clean any of this track up. They probably greased the side rails, which you can see it when it operates. There's not a lot of friction on the sides. The way mine operates, most of the weight is hanging on this center piece, and this is what I think is causing the most drag. So I'm going to clean this up, clean all that old grease off. So I'm just using the WD-40 and paper towels. To clean this old grease off here. Yeah, it's definitely tacky. It's super tacky underneath. So I'm very confident that most of the drag is coming from this rail. And to keep from getting this, I hate the smell of WD-40. To keep it from spraying all over the place, I'm just spraying it on my paper towel. Yeah, that's like gummy underneath there. So I suspect this has never been cleaned, these rails. I think when they service them, they go right to the side rollers, slap some grease on those, and then go in that box and lubricate the worm gear, the drive part of the worm gear. And in here, I'm not taking this off, but I'm sure this is all gobbed up with grease as well. So I'll shoot some WD-40 in there and let it ride back and forth once I get this rail clean. So I've cleaned 2 feet of that rail, and that's how much grease has come off it. And you can see it's definitely a friction point because I've been over that rail and it's still got scars in it where it's been riding. So we'll go down to the rest of the rail, clean it up, and run it with nothing on it. Make sure it should, and then I'm going to clean underneath that carriage, and then I'll run it with nothing on it. It should work fine with nothing on it. So that's what it looks like before, and
And then that's what it looks like after it's wiped down.
All right, got the whole track clean. Now I'm gonna shoot some WD-40 in here. Make it a big mess. Run it up and down a few times. Should leave a big grease patch on my track where I just cleaned it. All right, so it worked fine. It hasn't sticking every time. Coming down, it would stop, you know, a foot, 2 foot off the ground, and then go back up. And now it's working fine, just with cleaning. Way down, I don't know if there's more, it's just more unstable. The whole rail kind of shakes when it's going down. Going up, it's very stable. But pushing down is where it seems like it's interacting with this rail the most, and makes sense because when it does fail in reverse, it's always on the downstroke. With that thing, that carriage left a lot of grease on this rail after I cleaned it. I'm gonna run it a few more times and then probably lube it. So I had that rail totally clean before I started running that carriage up and down after I lubed it, and this is what came off the rail after that carriage ran up and down it. So certainly that had its share of old thick grease in it. All right, this is my silicone spray. I do not use WD-40 for anything but cleaning. So any lubrication, the silicone is in my opinion, a better route to go. And I'm not going to spray up inside this carriage. It's going to pick up enough off this rail. So it could be a placebo effect, but it sounds a lot smoother. Than it did before I started. Before I cleaned it. And after lubricating it, made it a lot smoother. So there it is. Another DIY from the Retire Guy. Good to go. Hopefully that'll last a couple of years. So yeah, until the next one. Peace out.